Having a little.
Welcome, everybody, to another episode of the Cryptopolitan podcast. My name is Earl, and today's guest is Christian Kruger. How are you?
I'm good, my guy. Thanks for having me. I
Oh,
appreciate it.
absolutely. This is fantastic. It's not every day we get, really cool projects all the time. So it's fun to have these types of things on the show and we have to talk about them. So that's what makes it fun, right? So
Let's do it.
so well,
Yeah.
first things first is so tell the viewers in layman terms, because sometimes we have some non-crypto viewers, um, what's your project about? And then what are you most excited about
For
coming up in
sure.
the project?
Okay, yeah. So FiatRexa is a project which is essentially going about the tokenization of fiat in a different format, by kind of running it as a decentralized protocol. So true to original ethos, that means not having a centralized business entity or any centralized entity or any centralized point of control or power that can dictate what happens. So the whole thing is broken up over multiple different pieces, and then we use trusts to back the individual fiat reserves so that you can
Hmm.
literally just tokenize on ramp or off ramp into fiat or into crypto. So
Got it.
traditionally, this problem is a bit of a pain in the butt. Like when I first started getting into crypto and learning about it in like 2010, buying Bitcoin was hard. It was a nightmare. So eventually I started mining it in 2011 because I gave
Hmm.
up with trying to buy it. And even then afterwards,
It was easier to mine than it was to buy. That's crazy.
yeah, exactly, which was a pain in the butt. Like now it's easier to buy, but
Yes.
it's still mostly done through centralized exchanges or
Yes.
um, sometimes P2P exchanges. But the total solution is not true to the ethos of original crypto, in my opinion, at least,
Right.
where everybody wanted everything to be decentralized. So I think we
Hmm.
also unlock a lot more of crypto and the potential of the crypto markets by just having the foundational layer of fiat, because governments created fiat. They are not going to give that up, I don't think. I'd love to
Oh,
see like El Salvador and a bunch of other countries accepting Bitcoin and using it as legal tender, but I don't think that's going to be something that every country does. And even if they do it eventually, I don't think they're going to just give up on their fiat in my
nope.
lifetime.
Probably not. Yeah, exactly. I agree with you on that.
Bills still have to be paid in fiat at the end of the day, because it's usually mandated by a government.
Pretty much.
So fixing how that works and how we move from one state to another, I think is beneficial. And then building a suite of tooling around that so that every single person has these tools that they can use in a decentralized manner. So it's just a
Mhm.
bunch of open source code deployed to various blockchains. We may end up needing to build our own blockchain in the future to achieve some of our goals, because
Okay.
everything we build on top of requires that thing to continue existing into perpetuity. Uh, some crypto projects are kind of centralized, and they're things that we do want to build on top of.
Yes.
So for initial, it makes sense, but ultimately we're going to have to probably expand beyond that. But that's up to the DAO too, right? Like it's not my choice or decision.
Right.
That'll be up to the users.
But that's true decentralization. So you're giving the power to the people, which was like you said, the true ethos behind the original, structure behind it all, right? So, but I
Yeah.
get how like people are struggling between centralization and decentralization, right? I mean, even just having a server, right? All of a sudden, oh well, now it's centralized again. So, hey, we run on Amazon. Good for you. Well, you just screwed the entire thing. So, it's interesting how you're actually building it to the true ethos, which keeps it really clean, right? I mean, the trustless
Yes.
is trustless. So there you go.
I mean, like
So
that, what your comment was just there about like the website and hosting with Amazon and things like this, or hosting some of the web application, that is a centralized point of control. And
right.
with the front end for even a lot of dApps right now, there's centralized front ends. So it's
Right,
kind
right,
of like,
exactly. Well, the thing is, you can't get around it 100% all the time, every time, because of just the nature of the way the universe was built now, right? Just there's
exactly.
still centralized things, and I like how you're trying to actually aim for true, real, actual decentralization. So that's really cool. What?
Okay.
So that's a big thing to create and a big thing to fill. What in particular, like in the next 30, 60, 90 days, would be something that you're super jazzed about? This is like, hey, you know what? This is coming down the pipe, super interesting. Like, because in every project there's always some, hey, you know, that the little light at the end of the tunnel that you're hoping is not a train, right? It's just like, oh, what is that thing? And everyone has that, it has a bit of a different interesting thing. Some people are launching, some people are getting onto an exchange, some people are, you know, whatever, we're releasing a new feature set. What's yours?
Great question. So in our case, we're doing an upgrade to our contributor program. So
Hmm.
the contributor program with us is what manages the DAO. So that not only, because we have two tokens essentially, we have our core utility token,
Mm-hmm.
and then we have our secondary contributor utility token. The secondary token can only be purchased through the first utility token. The first
Right.
utility token only has one other use other than acquiring this one, which is 50% discount on protocol fees, just to make it the cheapest in the industry by hopefully a huge margin.
Right.
But we'll also see how people respond to the protocol coming out. But so the contributor program essentially means like no one has a boss or there's no central entity doing anything, but things still need to get done. So how do you do this? And
Hmm.
in the early days of like Bitcoin and Ethereum and a bunch of these other projects, they could essentially run through a forum and people would just contribute to the GitHub repos or to the community of their own accord. In this case, I want people to be rewarded for that because I think a lot of people made great contributions to Bitcoin and Ethereum, which may have been small little things, but they may not have gotten full compensation for it. Like Ethereum, I think was pretty good. A lot of people did get paid in Ethereum. I think similar
Hmm.
was true with Bitcoin. Um, but just having that all systemized on-chain, I think is beneficial. And nowadays, with the advancements that we have in the blockchain space, that's what we're doing. So we're improving that onboarding process so
Right.
that it's clearer and easier for people to see what's going on. Because
Well,
even people who are now exposed to crypto aren't very well versed in interacting with decentralized applications. So they'll try and open up, let's say our web app or our DApp on their
mhm.
mobile phone browser, and it won't work for them properly because they're supposed to use like a browser that's integrated with, say, MetaMask or a wallet interface. Because if you're using your desktop, you use a wallet plugin or something like this to enable you to access the DApp. Just having some small little changes based on feedback so far from people to make this more seamless and improve the onboarding functionality, because the contributor stuff is where this makes or breaks. If we have a lot of people contributing and we have a very good decentralized labor base on this, um, then the wealth is decentralized. And that is kind of, I think, the magic bullet. We want to be not concentrating wealth, we want to be distributing wealth. And
Right. That
right
makes
now,
sense.
yeah,
You
this,
know, it's refreshing because, you know, not a lot of other projects are actually using, you know, like you said, true decentralization. And, you know, there's always that underlying, you know, a little bit of a greed factor where it's like, hey, well, let's centralize that one little piece so we all get paid proper. And,
yes.
you know, I like what you're doing because it's the true, you know, it's the true north of where this was supposed to head in the first place, anyways.
Yeah,
So,
or at least it's the next point. Because I think of like
right.
decentralization is similar to perfection. It's this moving target. As we learn more and do more and grow more, what we see to be decentralized or what we see to be perfect moves a little bit. So
Yeah.
we can see a little bit more now than we could, 14 years ago.
What
Or
was that? What was that quote? I will strive to make better mistakes tomorrow. So,
yes, precisely. Yeah, I love that. It's very accurate.
so well, that in unto itself is kind of what the whole premise is, right? It's you know, there's all the other side is, you know, the pursuit is the lowest pursuit of perfection or whatever is the lowest standard because, you know, if you're always waiting, it never gets to launch. So it's kind of a weird balancing game, right? You've got you want the
100%.
perfection, but it's like, well, this is current level of perfection. There's more perfection over there, but we haven't figured that out yet. Um,
Exactly.
and you're kind of
And
just going along as you go, right? So it's
100%. If you
an
don't just kind of like,
interesting, yeah.
you got to go do like what is practical and then keep building, keep adding on. And as you start going, more people get interested, more people can contribute, which
Hmm.
means more things are getting done faster, which means more people can join and more people engage, which then you
Right.
get the snowball effect. And I think if you
Well,
have all of these things on chain, you get
absolutely. Well,
a lot of
as a
scaling.
project manager myself, I try to run stuff through actual proper, agile Scrum, right? And So, it's not like it's building a bridge. The bridge doesn't move. The end point of the bridge doesn't keep shifting as you go, right? Because if you did, I wouldn't want to drive over a bridge. But
Yes.
it's trying to make this thing kind of work, and it's kind of Scrum, it's kind of waterfall, it's almost Scrummerfall, but it's just trying to make stuff happen, right? But I like the iterative process where it's like, okay, we're making the move, it's going there, and it moved again, but at least we have the basis. But because you're building everything on the foundational elements of the way it was supposed to be done through a DAO and everything else, hey, you know what? It's legit, right? It builds that whole actual transparency. I love the projects that go, yeah, we're totally transparent, except for this one part right here. What's in there? The big bag of money, right? So it's just
Yeah. I mean, it's tempting, right? Because if you make a mistake while doing your decentralized stuff and it's there forever, and all the progress you've made is like not mute because you can
right.
always try again, but it
Mhm.
does provide like fear. And also, I think we as humans are inclined towards wanting or liking or needing or expecting centralization at this point. Where,
Right.
if something goes wrong in blockchain, a whole bunch of people, or in the crypto space, a whole bunch of people ask me like, "Oh, who do I go talk to about like my transfer not working on Ethereum?" And I'm like, "Well,
Nobody,
you."
kind of. Yeah, exactly. There's no god of crypto, sadly. So yeah,
Exactly.
that's there's no centralized points, right? So I
Exactly.
used to answer prank calls with epicenter of the universe god speaking, and there is none, right? So it's just like, great, well, that doesn't exist in crypto. It's supposed to be decentralized. So there you
Yeah.
go. All right, so when you're not trying to actually decentralize the world, what do you do for fun when you're not building this project?
Well, I used to say all the time, like my hobby was kind of like building stuff. But in reality, like I also love video games.
Oh,
I'm
nice.
trying to hike more because
Oh, very cool.
health. Um,
My doctor
Otherwise,
says I got to do 10,000 steps a day or I'll die. So,
yeah, exactly. Yeah, 10,000 steps a day is the rule, right? So I actually got like the walking pad, but I'm sitting on a bouncy ball on the walking
that
pad.
works because it fools your watch, right? Your watch is like, okay, he's moving, right?
Yeah,
That doesn't
exactly.
do that, right?
Yeah.
So,
I can deceive the systems. No,
cool.
pretty much for my hobbies, it really is just kind of like I enjoy building cool stuff. Video
Mhm.
games are great, but can often leave me feeling like I didn't do anything because,
Right.
let's be real, I
Yeah,
didn't.
well, that's true.
But I still really enjoy. I like anime. I like some movies, some TV series. I'm usually woefully behind on TV series. I'm getting really good about the movies now, though. I'm
That's good.
mostly up to date on movies at this point. Like if there's a new trending movie, I'll get to it within the same year.
So now you're gonna have to get one of those little tiny treadmills. You put it down, you watch the movie, you get your steps in. You got both, right?
Excellent. Yeah, yeah. Oh, I
And
think
then the
that might
movie
take
gets
something
boring.
new.
You whip out your mobile phone and you play a quick game, right? And that's how it works. So
Yeah. Man, I feel like if I had to do that, I might enjoy the movies less.
I'm kidding. I'm kidding. All right, cool. Well, I mean, this is all exciting stuff. Um, how do people become part of the movement? How do they get a hold of you? And give us a reason to connect.
Yeah, so we've got a few contributors who have joined the program so far. Knee is on top of our social channels. So if you look at FiatRexa, hopefully everywhere at this point, I think it's everywhere,
That's good.
should be us. And if you talk to us over Discord, that's like the go-to chat spot at the moment.
Awesome.
Um, it's not a lot of chats in there, to be honest. Like I think I made the last post a while
Okay.
ago. So hopefully we just get some more voices in there. We can get some more people asking questions, poking holes in things. Um, Connect through the social medias, check out the website, become a contributor because that has like a permanent, forever on-chain referral system.
Gotcha.
So businesses pay salespeople commissions. If you are selling or helping us grow or marketing or what have you, you
That's
deserve
cool.
permanent.
Well, here's a fascinating subject or a fascinating thought. Because people are studying crypto now in post-secondary schools, right? It'd be a fascinating thing because you are actually building a true decentralized system for students to actually, take a look at this thing, look at your white paper, read that thing, be part of the community, and then ask cool questions. Because that would be really interesting, like
I like that.
um a really fascinating thing would be, actually building a question set that allowed a novice to ask questions of a new project to test how decentralized it actually is.
Yeah,
So,
I like.
you know, that would
I
be a
think
fun
that
thing to do. And if you made it as a free thing that you gave away to the universities, and the universities went, hey, that's pretty cool. Here's a cool project. Let's actually teach this, right? And that would be a fascinating reason for people to come. And I mean, that would start a discourse on their Discord, wouldn't it?
Yes, it would. And I think it also would help teachers give their students more hands-on experience with things, which is super beneficial.
Well, there you go.
Because
That should kickstart your Discord server, and get the educational populace on there, people who are just learning this or learning this in that space. And that would be a cool reason to reach out. And because the kids are kind of just raring to go, there's definitely opportunities for contributors there at that point.
I agree wholeheartedly. I thank you very much, Earl. That is a great idea.
Well,
Again, beauty of decentralization.
but the actual decentralization, so that's what makes it really truly interesting. So
100%. I mean, like, there's still limits to how much decentralized we could be as a fiat function. All we
right.
can do is just have multiple trusts. Like, let's say for US dollar, we can have like a trust limit of $1 billion. And like some of these stable coins right now are sitting in hundreds of billions of dollars.
Mhm.
So that would be like 100 trusts in that region. So it's still
Right.
more decentralized.
Well, yeah, like you said, the level of perfection moves, right? And because it's a moving target, all you can do is strive, like I said, strive to make better mistakes tomorrow. So,
100%.
versus one trust, 100 trusts, 1,000 trusts, 1,000,000 trusts, who knows, right? As it grows. So, but it's still a fascinating subject, and it'd be really cool to see this as a post-secondary type course, material. How would you make this better, right?
It's a great call. I was actually talking to an old university about going back there to teach, but I couldn't because I was at Binance at the time. So there
Hmm.
was like a conflict with IP generation
Okay,
because
gotcha. Yeah, right. Because you
they want
can't,
to own
right?
my IP. They want to own my IP. I
Yeah,
can't be
exactly.
happy.
Well, here's the premise. You build the IP yourself. You bring it to the schools, right? And because
Mm,
in decentralized fashion, you actually give the IP
to the
out,
school. Yeah,
and then
exactly.
all of a sudden
It's
it
open
becomes
source.
becomes a
They
real
make it.
project. It becomes a real community. There's the belief system. There's the following, right? So
Yeah, I think that's a really smart play. Thank you, sir. Thank you, Earl. I appreciate you. Oh,
absolutely.
jeez.
So there you go. So this is why these podcasts are always a fun thing to do, because you get this discourse, you get these discussions going, and all of a sudden ideas generate. The whole purpose of the podcast was to we believe in the system where a rising tide floats all boats, right?
Agreed.
And if you do
Wholeheartedly.
that, right, like, and you do it in the actual spirit of doing it, right, all of a sudden the community is real. And so, yeah, it's not contrived. It's not, oh,
It's,
yeah, we're decentralized everything but the big bag of money part, right?
yeah,
So, yeah.
it's
So,
good
I mean,
energy too. It encourages other people to think, to share, and as long as you actually have like compensation mechanisms in place, then things are better. 'Cause I think like a lot of people are inclined towards wanting to share things and wanting to build things and wanting to create a better world for everybody. It's just like parts of society are currently built in a manner to kind of punish you for those behaviors, which is it's
exactly, which is why this is a really cool thing. So, hey, man, I really appreciate you coming on the show today.
thank you. I appreciate you having me, my guy.
All right. Well, thanks. We'll see you again soon.
Take care, sir. Thank you.